She's back. Sneaky Hillary Clinton up to her old tricks again and fueling 2024 speculation after taking this shot at Joe Biden's age and health. Listen.
Well, I mean, it's a concern for anyone. And we've had presidents who've fallen before who were a lot younger, and people didn't go into, heart palpitations. But his age is an issue, and people have every right to consider it.
The crooked ones driving the knife in Biden's back during one of his most vulnerable moments. New poll numbers showed the big guy is in some serious trouble. Less than a third of Americans approve of his handling of the economy, guns, and immigration. And Hillary's not exactly giving a glowing review of his presidency.
I am, of the camp that I think, he's determined to run. He has a good record that 3 years ago people would not have predicted would have gotten done. He doesn't get the credit yet that he deserves for what is happening out in the country. I obviously hope he stays, very, focused and able to compete in the election, because I think he can be reelected.
If Hillary's not stealing Biden's nomination, she's certainly stealing his talking points.
If Trump wins, which I do not believe will happen, let me just quickly say that. If in some scenario that were to happen, it would be the end of democracy in the United States. The list of potential disastrous outcomes is longer than I have time to go over with you. But it's why we can't permit it to happen, why any sensible person who looks at that former president and says, oh, let's do this again, needs an intervention.
So explain the emotion behind that, because she's obviously jealous of Joe Biden. She's still hurt. Maybe that Obama, I don't know. What's going on?
She violated one of life's rules that I taught you the other week.
Oh, right.
What did she do?
She floated her own balloon.
Yep. You cannot float your own balloon. But nobody will float it for her anymore. So she has to float it herself, which is why it should immediately be shot down over the Atlantic. She has this tone of, I say this with regret. She doesn't say, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's just basically skewering him. And she's saying all of the things that they all talk about. They all talk about this. Sure. That's how the Democrats are talking amongst themselves, but probably with more coarse language. There was a focus group that just was reported on in the Washington Post where they talked to people who had voted for Trump and then Biden. And one of the women in the article said she was under the impression, because Joe Biden said it, that he was going to be a transitional president. And she said, and I believed that. I believed that he was going to get us from one generation to the next, and that Trump wouldn't be president if we got Biden in there. They didn't think Biden was going to run for a second term. And then for Hillary to say that she's going to be the one that everybody turns to in the Democratic Party. If they're tired of Joe Biden,
right,
are they not tired of her? And I do think that it's pretty hard to imagine that she can say with a straight face that she doesn't believe Trump can win. I mean, how did that go in 2016? And in 2016, she said it would be the end of democracy. And America has proved resilient, obviously, thrived in some ways, struggling in other ways today. And she's just unbelievable. I can't believe that they still invite her to give talks like that.
Oh, she's probably getting paid, Dana.
You think you got paid for that?
I don't know. I don't go anywhere without getting paid. Judge Janine.
I got $1 on me.
she could have obviously said, he's done a great job, and I hope he gets reelected. Right. And that's it.
Right.
Oh, but that's not who she is. Hillary Clinton is the epitome. She is the essence of a woman who will step on anyone, ride over anyone, do what she's got to do to get the front of the line. And I'm going to limit it to that. Okay, but what I will tell you is that 1 week after the Durham report, 1 week where they come out and they tell us this whole Russia collusion hoax was Hillary's idea. And she told Joe Biden and she told Barack Obama that she was going to do it because the email scandal was too hot and she had to get the prosecutors off her back. 1 week later, she's running for president. Okay? Age is an issue. Baloney, she's 75, he's 80. It's not age, Hillary, it's competence. And the truth is that, 63% of Americans can't agree on anything today. But what they can agree on is the fact that Joe Biden is not mentally sharp enough to be the president. And yet these Democrats, they come out and say, I just hope he stays focused, which is translation. The guy is so unfocused. His wife has to hold his hand. They have to remind him who's standing there with him. Look, how many times does a woman have to lose running for president that stops her from running again? She is the essence of what we do not need in this country. And you know what, Dana, there's no question. There were metrics when Donald Trump was president that no president had ever met. Yep. I mean, there were things that had the highest number of African Americans employed, Asians, women, the economy, the animal spirits, all that stuff. It was great. But she's going to come back and say, you know what? It's the end of democracy if Donald Trump wins. So I'd rather have a zombie Joe out there who can't even talk about this country. I mean, she just...
Yeah, Geraldo, she introduced the idea that he might not even be able to compete in the election.
Well, I think the underlying tone was, will Joe Biden be competent to finish 4 years? Why? Not because of the next generation. It's not because of RFK Jr. or Gavin Newsom. It's about Kamala Harris. It's about the demographic reality that the possibility exists, a very strong possibility, that Biden will not be able to finish his 4 years and be 86 years old. So I think that was the real message that Hillary was sending, that, you sure about this? You sure about Kamala? Because she's really the figure that haunts the Democrats more than anything.
Probably haunts Hillary because she was supposed to be the first female president. And then it will be Kamala.
Or will it, Jesse? Because I postulate that what Hillary Clinton is doing is what some say Tim Scott and Nikki Haley are doing on the Republican side. She's running for vice president. She knows she does not have the party's goodwill. She also knows there's a really great shot that Joe Biden says he's not running against the almighty. We all are. Who among us is going to live forever? I don't think anyone at this table, and neither is our dear 46th president. But Hillary Clinton knows that women live longer than men. She's still got some goodwill and certainly a lot of name recognition within the party. And it looks horrible if someone like Gavin Newsom elbows Kamala Harris out of the way. But if a woman who was once the standard bearer of the party, the trailblazer, the glass ceiling breaker, if she pushes Kamala out of the way, then she will mathematically, naturally, probably be our first female president.
Oh, I like it.
Well, if anybody at this table is going to live forever, it's going to be Geraldo.
Thank you, Jesse.
Can I have whatever it is you're taking, Geraldo?
Well,
do you have a prescription?
Erica, you can. I will not share my way.
Okay. It's the first time you said that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.